coming down.
How's it, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Culture the Podcast. This is a long overdue episode. For those of you who don't know, I've been going through some personal issues in my life. Lost my father last year to a tragic car accident. I'll probably talk about it more later in a later episode, but it's part of the reason that I got my buddy Jason here. It's one of the things that we unfortunately share in common is we both lost our fathers, and during the time that I lost my father, he was someone that I kind of reached out to and just kind of talked about the feelings and the things that I was going through and the emotions I was dealing with. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to have him on the podcast and kind of tell his father's story. Um, not so much about me and my dad and things like that. For those of you who've been watching the podcast, you guys have seen my dad on the podcast before, and you guys know the relationship that we have. But I wanted to focus more on just kind of like Jason and his father and what his father meant to him, and basically his story and how he could tell his story, because I think it's a really dope story. Um, and it's kind of crazy how it all went down too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to give like a little breakdown of where your pops was from, where you were from, where you guys grew up or whatever.
Yeah, man. First of all, thanks for having me.
No, thanks
Appreciate
for
it coming
coming.
on.
Yeah.
It's dope. It's dope what you're doing. But yeah, just get into it. I'm a native of LA, but my pops was from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Moved out here when he was 24 years old. After school, he went to U of I, Illinois, Champaign.
Mm-hmm.
Moved out here to be an actor. Came out here chasing a dream like everybody else was. Uh, you know, had some success in the industry for a little bit. But ultimately he met my mom and decided to settle down and kind of get more on a um more stable career
Mm-hmm.
track. And so he just decided to go into, his career. When he met my mom, they had me some years later and things like that. But yeah, pretty much, my mom and my dad stayed together their whole, my whole life, their whole life. My dad died, married to my mom. My dad died in 2020, November 11th. It's funny because my birthday is the 14th
Mm-hmm.
of November, so it was all leading up to that was just like a big moment, all together for me because it was back and forth. But yeah, my dad was in my life constantly. He's one of my best friends, a role model, an idol, everything a dad could be for a son. My dad
Mm-hmm.
was. He was everything you hope for, disciplinary. Um,
You follow in his footsteps, because I mean you followed in his footsteps. You tried to follow in his footsteps a little bit with the acting thing too, right?
yeah, no, definitely.
With that, and that's something that's kind of heavy in your family, right? Like you guys are super into like movies and
Definitely my mom, like my mom is definitely a cinephile,
mm-hmm.
period. And it leaks into TV now too because TV's so popular.
Yeah.
But definitely my mom she can name every actor, she knows
Yeah.
directors, she knows composers. Like my mom put me on Hans Zimmer, like
Mm-hmm.
my mom put me on Danny Elfman,
Yeah.
like my mom
Those are all things that were like heavy in your family. Like it was kind of like
Oscar night, like the
yeah,
Oscars was a big deal.
yeah,
Not even to my dad though so much,
yeah.
him wanting to be the actor. My mom never had any like uh aspirations to be in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
She just loved the industry. She loved watching movies. She loved watching film.
Mm-hmm.
So Oscar night in my family, my dad would cook.
Mm-hmm.
My dad would have, like this like grand dinner on a Sunday night, like lobster and steak or something. He put something on the grill. Um my mom would get all dressed up, makeup done, and we print out a ballot
Oh, that's dope.
and we sit down and we go through the Oscars all night together, man. It was some like obviously some of the best memories I have. That's why I still have such an appreciation for the Oscars.
Yeah.
As it is like an award show, I think it's probably to me like the best award show of the year. I mean, arguably, but yeah, so it was, and then my dad came and had to be an actor, so he loved film himself. He loves
Mhm.
movies. I mean, he's pretty much he used to stick to what he liked though. He liked a lot of westerns.
Mhm.
He liked a lot of crime drama, a lot of thriller, a lot of suspense. Obviously like mafia movies, Pacino, De Niro, Scorsese films.
Was
Like,
that the kind of stuff that he wanted to act in? Is that the stuff that he liked, or
um, if I could see him being an actor, I could see him being like an attorney
Mm,
or something like that, or like if I'm thinking of his dream role, like an attorney, like a Denzel type attorney, like really
right.
like hard nosed, like he was that kind of guy naturally in real life. So like that's what I would think. He's a super intelligent man. So yeah, that's what I could see him doing. But I would just say that he was an author too. He
Oh.
had two published novels, crime fiction.
Mhm.
And the main character of the books is named David Jason. My
Mhm.
name is Jason David, so it's like a play on my name. That's the protagonist of the crime series. It's a series. I mean, there was only two of them
Right.
published. There was a third one written. Um, Crazy shit happened. Like the hard drive got wiped or something like that. A whole
Really?
book,
Oh
a whole
shit.
book, a whole novel done. Like imagine you write a novel and it goes away.
That'd be the most frustrating. When was this?
This was after. So I think the second one had already been published, so everybody was looking for a third one. He was kind of like gaining some like type of notoriety, like small notoriety, but like he was doing readings. He was traveling for like signings, but just like small bookstores and everything like that.
Yeah.
But so they're looking for the third one. The book was kind of selling, was moving shelves off the shelves. My dad like self published it, but with a distributor company.
Yeah.
So it was doing well. Like they were like ordering cases and stuff like that of copies, hard copy, hardcover and softback. Um,
And the hard
and
drive got
the
so
hard drive got wiped. So he was like a whole third book ready to come out. Well, it wasn't ready to come out, but it was written. It was
right,
done,
right.
and it disappeared. Like imagine just
That's
fugazi.
crazy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it was crazy. Like and it took maybe a year to write.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was flowing for a minute, like,
Yeah.
he got into this
Yeah, the
flow.
creative,
Yeah, he
like,
got into
yeah.
a flow, so, like, the books were coming faster. Because the first book, to be honest, I think he wrote that book for maybe, like, I don't know, man, like, over the course of, like, 9 years, 8,
Mhm.
10 years maybe. Like, I remember he was writing it when I was a kid. It finally got published, like, when I was probably maybe, like, 18 or
Uh-huh.
19, something like that. But, so then he wrote the first one, it finally came out, and then he wrote a second one, boom, published it again, like, "Okay, I'm flowing now." Third one's cranking them out. He's in his groove,
Uh-huh.
and then it got lost. I think that kinda, like, to be honest, I think it kinda fucked him up,
Yeah, yeah.
creatively,
Right.
um, and I think it kinda brought things to a halt, suddenly, it's a sudden halt, like, because everybody was,
This is
really
around
into
what
it.
time?
Man, this is probably, like, around 2000 and, like, 11, 12,
Mm.
something like that. When I'm like 22, 23, maybe?
Did he do anything after that?
No,
Just took the wind out of his sails?
I think so.
I mean,
Like,
like, with the pandemic, I know it was extremely difficult feeling any kind of creativity because, like, you lose a period of your life. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Not only that, you lose a period of your life focusing on all kinds of different things that, like, you didn't think you'd have to deal with.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
this, like, I never pictured like something like this happening.
right,
And you're like, where do I start? Is it
yeah,
even worth the effort? You know what I mean? And then you
yeah,
start thinking of all that. Like when you're doing it and and you're inspired, it's like it comes so easy.
yeah,
You know, it's today, like setting all this stuff. It was probably the longest setup I've ever had
yeah,
today, just because it was just kind of like, do I really even want to do this? You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, do I really want to like? Is this and not so much for like the emotional aspect of like it's just kind of like did it kind of run its course? Like,
yeah,
what was it? Did it encapsulate an era of my life and that was good, and we'll just leave it at that,
yeah,
or is it something that like, nah, this is like a resurgence,
mhm,
little things like that. And personally, I felt I owed it to my father, to kind of like follow through. That's one of the things that I always have been terrible is like follow through. It's like I've always had, like, my dad would always tell me, like, you have the best ideas. You always have like such a creative mind. You're so like good at like thinking of things, but you never follow through with anything.
Yeah.
So like I almost feel it that it's owed to not only him but myself to make sure I see things like this through, and it's wild. And like again, it's like it's only handful of followers, handful of people viewing and stuff like that. And like we were talking about it earlier, where it's like it's just crazy how you have people that go out and do these things like stream and stuff like that, and everyone looks at them and everyone's like rolling their eyes and whatever, and you're just kind of like, is it worth it? But to them it is.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, who am I to sit there and judge somebody for how they're deciding to express their creativity? You know what I mean?
Putting something out into the world though.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
then just seeing what happens with it and seeing
Yeah.
if the world takes to it, if they don't take to it, and even if they don't, what might come out of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I could totally see how your dad, like, could just kind of like, man, he had a full head of steam going,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden,
It was
just
crushing to hear about.
yeah, yeah,
Like being his son and him really finding, this joy in writing
mm-hmm,
and then also sharing the writing,
right,
because he was getting a lot of feedback
yeah,
and my dad was thriving off of that. And then when the book vanished and it's like, oh, H, my dad's name is Harold. So
uh-huh,
H, where's the third, where's the third book at? And it's just like,
huh,
it's gone. It's
wow,
gone. I
that's
mean,
wild,
yeah, it's funny you mentioned the pandemic too. I mean, the pandemic comes way after the book vanished, but
right,
the pandemic has such an effect on him as well. I
uh-huh.
mean, he passed in 2020.
That's
So
what I was
yeah,
saying, and it
mhm.
wasn't. I want to clarify, it wasn't,
Pandemic related.
but yeah, COVID related in
It
that
wasn't
sense.
COVID related. No, I don't think it was COVID. No, it wasn't
I mean,
COVID
maybe the
related.
stresses of the
Yeah,
pandemic
yeah,
might have
yeah,
played a part.
yeah. I don't. It
I don't know if you
wasn't
want to touch
COVID
on that.
virus
Yeah,
related.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But just the atmosphere. My parents moved to Vegas in 2018.
Hmm.
Um, to retire.
Yeah,
To have a retirement life in Las Vegas, and COVID hits 2020. They're enjoying Vegas though.
right,
2018. I mean, they moved to end of 2018, so 2019 was their full year there, and a lot of it was like adjusting to Vegas,
right,
adjusting to a new city, um, having a new house to like kind of set up and a yard and to kind of what I mean. So they wanted the stuff a certain way when they went out there. So a lot of that was that focused on that. They had a pool built in their backyard, so it's a lot of construction and everything. But they did some hosting. They had a New Year's Eve party like
excuse
right
me.
away in
Hmm.
2019. So that was fun. But then the pandemic hit in 2020 and it really took the wind out of everything for
Hmm.
everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think it hit my parents particularly hard because they had moved away from everybody.
right,
And pandemic already isolated everybody,
right,
but I think this was extra isolation for them because
right,
they were in Vegas.
uh-huh,
So it wasn't like, if they were living out here still, even during the pandemic, I probably would have pulled up on them more. Like, even though
right,
you're like supposed to isolate or quarantine or things like that,
yeah,
I would have saw them more
right,
if just they're down the freeway.
right,
But then being in Vegas, we really didn't see them. And my dad was also just, to be honest, he's watching the news all day. 24-hour news cycle, sitting on the couch and just looking how fucked up the whole world
how
was at
grim
that point.
everything is. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
So how crazy everything was. And I think that kind of like drew him into a depression too.
uh-huh,
Um, I'm not, I can't say if he was depressed or not, but I think that all played into his health
yeah,
physically as well.
right,
Mental health for sure, but physically, he wasn't as active. Um, he was kind of restricted to go in the house. My dad was a people person.
right,
My dad was very social. He would go to the grocery store and things like that, and go to Costco and go to Home Depot. Those are like his errands he would run. And that was like enjoyable for my dad because he would get to talk to people. He talked to the cashier, he talked to
right,
associates at the store. So that was like things my dad liked to do. Like, um, so like it's funny because how the world is now with kind of like delivery, everything and Amazon, and you're not really like brick and mortar things are like going away. And it's like my dad's era, like what he enjoyed is kind of fading. So
right,
I think about it like that too. But so I think that went into his physical health. He wasn't getting up and moving a lot. other things played into his health as well, just his whole lifestyle. But that led to blood clots.
Yeah.
So blood clots, and then that led to the brain, and led to a couple strokes. Um, and that eventually is how he passed. He had complications from a stroke after.
Yeah.
But
Which is a crazy story too. Like I remember you
yeah,
telling me.
no, the thing is crazy, man. How it all happened is super crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember during, I think it was Halloween 2020. No, no, yeah, 2020. Um, the pandemic is kind of not, and because we all know how long it lasted, but it
Right.
was kind of like, okay, we're getting into October, this
People are starting to
2021. We're
understand a
kind of
little
like,
more.
okay, yeah. So people are
Yeah.
coming outside a little
And
bit
people are making
more.
up their minds on like, yeah, I'm buying
Yeah,
it
yeah,
or I'm
yeah,
not buying
yeah.
it. Right.
So things are kind of loosening, I would
Right.
say.
Right. Right.
Uh, Halloween, my dad calls me, hey man, yeah, yeah. I forgot to tell you, I went to the hospital a couple days ago. I'm like, what? You went to the hospital a couple days ago? Why? What happened? He's like, I don't know, man. Like they said, I might have had a heart attack, or I- I might have had a stroke or something like that. I'm like, what? Like,
Right.
how do you not get to me about that right away?
Right. Right.
So we had a conversation. I said, okay,
Right.
I'm gonna make time to come see you. I gotta come see you this week. So I got a couple days off. Um, I wanted to go see him, and it happened to be that my sister was going out there around the same time, that same week. Randomly, we didn't plan it. We were just going out there the
Yeah.
same week. My sister and her family. And I was taking, I had my 1 year old at the time. She had just turned one. My dad had just come to LA in October to see my 1 year old. And my kid's mom, she was pregnant with my 2 year old. But we drove out there to Vegas. Everything's good. He's laying up in bed one night. I bring my baby to him, and he's playing with his grandchild. Everything's cool. Everything's cool. Everybody gets there. My sister gets there like an hour after I do. I want to say it's like a Thursday night. And Friday morning, we all wake up, we have breakfast. Everybody's eating and having a good time. It's like family. We're all in the house together after we haven't seen each other in a long
Right.
time. It's pandemic year. We haven't been close. So we're all enjoying each other. Everybody kind of eats breakfast and we split up our separate ways in the house. But I'm sitting there with my mom on the couch, just like this, me and you. And my dad's on another couch, like perpendicular to us. And we're just having a conversation like normal. And all of a sudden he stops talking and he can't move his body, but he's like frozen on the couch, but he can move his head and his eyes. And my mom says, H, are you okay? H, are you okay? And he's just looking at my mom. He's looking at me, and he can't say anything. And then my mom says, call 911. And I knew something was, I knew something. And so he started killing over, I think, to the left side. He started killing, like, just slowly on the couch. I called my sister. My sister works in medicine. Um, my niece does as well, but my niece was out there as well. My niece is an RN, but she wasn't at the house at the time. Um, so she came in and she's holding him up. We're waiting on we get the paramedics on the line. They come in there on the way. They get there pretty quickly, and he's having a stroke right in front of us.
Right.
You know, and I remember just thinking, like, please, like, nah, not right now. Like,
Right.
I don't know, like, it went into, like, I was honestly in panic mode.
Right.
Um, when the paramedics finally got there, I'm just watching I'm kind of holding my dad with my sister. We're just watching him, and my sister's rubbing his head. She's like, "It's okay, daddy. Like, it's okay." And I'm just damn near crying already, bro,
Yeah.
because I'm looking at my dad, like my hero, like,
Right.
and I'm looking at him, and I've never seen anybody have a stroke,
Right.
so I'm just watching my dad. I know he's like he can't do anything. So the paramedics get there. They help him out. They like, okay, I think he's gonna be good. You got to him in enough time. Uh, it's like a threshold. You need to somebody who having a stroke needs to see emergency
Right.
help.
Right.
So he got to him in enough time. He's like, okay, we're gonna get him to the hospital. Everything should be okay. Like, we'll call you. They took him in the ambulance straight to the hospital. I'll go to the bathroom and start crying. like immediately,
Right.
balling. Um, Crazy. I start
Just a
drinking.
rush of yeah, just a rush of
Yeah.
emotions.
Rush of emotions too, and man, just like devastated.
Right.
I was devastated, bro.
Yeah.
Devastated to see my dad like that. I've never, how can you prepare yourself for that?
Right. Right. Right.
You know, like your
Yeah.
dad being like almost incapacitated or
Yeah.
like,
Such a helpless feeling
yeah,
because you're just like, there's nothing I can do and there's nothing he can do,
no, nothing. We're
and
just
there's
watching them,
yeah,
and like
and
emotions are like flooding. Like my mom is here, my sister, my brother-in-law, my nephew. We're all just watching our like patriarch of the
right,
family kind
right,
of just
right,
like something's happening to him and we
right.
can't help him and we know it's bad
Yeah.
because it just happened a couple days ago too.
Uh-huh.
So now we're all like scared, like the second one, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. It's not getting better.
So he goes to the hospital. The doctor calls, "Hey, can we have permission to do this operation?" My mom says, "Yeah." They call us back. Everything should be okay. Surgery went well. We're gonna give him some time to recover. Then you guys can come see him in a few hours. We'll call you. Cool. I'm like, damn, like weight off my
Yeah.
shoulders. Everything seemed cool. I went to go take a nap. In my sleep, I hear my mom on the phone screaming. That's what wakes me up out of my sleep. What are you talking? She's hysterical. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I thought you said he was gonna be okay. Okay, okay, we're on the way. You need to come. The doctor says to my mom, something happened. You need to come up to the hospital now. You have decisions to make. It's not gonna be long. Like things like that. Like come up to the hospital now. It's bad. So my mom's screaming. I'm back into this hysterical mode. All right. But I'm figuring I'm trying to hold it down because my whole family's there. Because my dad's sister lives in Vegas as well, so she's over the house as well. We're all like, it's no need to explain. So we rush up to the hospital. My dad is uh intubated with a tube in his mouth to breathe. He's hooked up to a breathing machine. He's not awake. I didn't see my dad open his eyes again from him sitting on the couch. So yeah, I can't even remember the last thing we were talking about, to be honest with you. Now that I think about that, uh, but that was the last time he was talking to me when he was sitting on the couch before he had that stroke. Because when I came to the hospital, that's how he was until he died. They told us that there was a brain bleed and there was too much blood filling up in his skull, and it was the pressure. The brain was getting pushed down onto the spine, and the spine was getting
Compressed.
compressed. So it was only a matter of time before he passed.
Crazy.
And they said he wouldn't be able to breathe on his own again, so we had to make some decisions. You know what I mean? Uh, Not we,
Yeah.
but um, my mother had to make the decision of what to do. And my father pretty much said that he never wanted to be like a vegetable,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
living on machines and
Right,
everything like
right,
that.
right.
So um, his mother is still alive. It's my grandmother. She's blessed. She's 90. She'll be 94, 95 years old this December. She flew in immediately with family to come see him. Before my mom, before they decided to take the machines off. But everybody got to see him. My cousin came from Long Beach here to Vegas, and we I didn't want to be in the room with him. I thought when they took him off the machine, I
Right,
didn't want to see him go,
right.
but something told me I had to be there with my pops.
Yeah,
Like something told me I should be there. Like I
right.
needed to be there because he is always gonna be there for me.
Right, right,
Like
right,
so, it's
right.
like I figured like I had to go. So I went up there with my aunt and my cousin, both who are older than me. It's my dad's first cousin and my dad's sister, his younger sister. And we stepped out the room. They took the machines off of him. They set him up, you know, make sure he was comfortable. And we sat in that room with him for like 48 hours, and he didn't pass
It's crazy.
on no machines. We ordered Thai food, man. We had liquor store runs, like just sitting up there watching TV, talking to my pops. I mean, just kicking it. Like
Yeah,
as he would say, we was kicking it around.
yeah.
And then eventually the hospital said he had to be moved to hospice. He got moved to the hospice, and he was maybe in the hospice for about. I transported with the paramedics to the hospice. Me and my aunt, so we went to the hospice with him. He probably passed about like 3 hours in after being
Damn.
in the hospice. Probably got to the hospice at 6 a.m. He passed at 9 a.m. something like that. And I was like damn near like sleep, like in and out. My aunt said like I don't think he's breathing anymore, Jake. We checked, called the nurse, pronounced him dead. November
Damn.
11th.
Wow.
Yeah,
And your birthday was what, 3 days later?
3 days later.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
no, it's real crazy. Like, but I'm grateful for the whole journey
Right.
that was like
Right.
an unbelievable time for me.
Right.
Like unbelievable.
That's why I wanted have you on to tell the story, because it's just I remember you telling me, and it was just like incredible. I was just like, man, like it's just it's crazy how things like that happen in the sequences that they happen in. You know what I mean? Even like, and again, I'm one of those people that really looks into like signs and things like that. And even the fact that he died before your birthday, it was kind of like maybe like I'm not gonna ruin his birthday. I'm not gonna be, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like even though there's a correlation, it's like I'm not gonna,
yeah,
maybe it was just like I'm not doing this. I'm out
yeah.
before his birthday comes, because I don't want it to be something he'll forever have to live with, is that I died on his birthday kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, yeah, and the fact that he died so close to my birthday,
Right.
I also kind of like it. I mean,
Right.
I don't know if
It bonds you together in a way.
yeah, like it's like yeah, it's cool. Like November
Yeah.
11th, like November is a special month for me
Yeah.
already. So
Let me
it's
reset the shutters real
yeah,
quick.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got but I got a similar thing. Hold on.
And I've been down